Hey there, Max Rich here, and right now we're going to talk about one of maybe the most important tools in any musician's arsenal, and that is the bit of theory that is kind of rooted in the circle of fourths or fifths. If you've heard of it, there's a good chance you've heard of it, called the circle of fifths. And that's really maybe the most common way to refer to what I'm talking about, but there is also it being a circle. You can go either clockwise or counterclockwise, and that changes whether you're talking about the circle of fourths or fifths. And what that is basically is, you'll see in the diagram that is attached, that it's basically a circle that outlines all the key signatures in music. So there are 12 notes in music. If we're talking about guitar, you can think about it pretty easily. Like, you know that open 6th string is E, and the 12th fret 6th string is E. So there's 12 notes in between there. And then back to E, and it starts over. And so each one of those notes has a key signature. And what that means is, basically, if you were thinking of the musical alphabet, which is from A to G, with sharps in there. And what I mean, sharps, of course, being sort of like we talked about in a few previous lessons, sharps are like the in-between notes. So, for example, if you have the note C right here, and then you have D right there, there's a note in between. That would be C sharp or D flat. It's the same note. It just depends how you look at it. So a sharp is 1/2 step higher than the note you're talking about. C sharp is 1/2 step higher than C. And D flat would be 1/2 step lower than the note you're talking about. So D flat would be 1/2 step lower than D, but they are the exact same note. And so E and B are the only notes that don't have sharps. So there's no E sharp, there's no B sharp. Which means if you're going from C right here up to C right here, and we're going to do it all on the same string, that means you go C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, and then you finish with C. So that kind of gives you like all the general notes that you have in music, and for each one of those is a key signature. And the key signature tells you which notes are sharp and which aren't. So just really quickly, like a brief introduction, the key signature for the key of C. So if someone says, "Oh, hey, we're going to play a blues," or "We're going to play the song and it's in C major," whatever, it doesn't matter what song it is, then you know that C major is sort of, C is the home chord or the home note for that song. And if you look on the diagram, the key signature for C major has no sharps and no flats, which means that they're all just plain letter name notes. So that would be like the equivalent of all the white keys on the keyboard or on the piano, which means that in the key of C you just have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then back to C. But there's no sharps and no flats. And as you go through the circle of fifths, you'll see that each key signature has a specific number of sharps and flats. And those tell you which notes obviously have to be sharp within that key. So another swift example, the key of G major, the next one, if you're going clockwise along the diagram, the next one you'll notice has one sharp, and it's on the staff, right, the lines of music. It's not tablature because there's not 6 lines, there's 5 lines, and on the top line of that, that top line is F, and you'll see a little hashtag or a little pound sign, and that means that F is sharp. So whenever you're in the key of G, you play all regular note names except for F. F is always sharp, and it doesn't matter which F you use, it's always sharp. So if you're playing in the key of G, and you want to play an F note, or like you want to, maybe scale down from F, or I'm sorry, from G down to E, you would play G and then F sharp and then E. And the ability to understand and really internalize key signatures is huge, because it tells you, especially if you're improvising or writing a song or whatever, what notes are acceptable within what key. And I don't want to say acceptable in the form of like there are certain notes that you should definitely never play, or it's not like that. It's just generally like sort of like a formula of what makes that specific sound. So if you're looking for a G major sound, there should always be an F sharp. If you're going to play an F, it should be an F sharp, not an F natural. And that's really the main thing with the circle of fourths and fifths. And it changes how you look at it, right? So if you go clockwise or counterclockwise, they yield different chord progressions. And so in this lesson, we're going to talk about all these kind of concepts, how to navigate the circle of fourths or fifths, the difference between going clockwise and counterclockwise, and the types of chord progressions that can come out of that. So stick around and make sure that you have that diagram handy so that you can refer back to it at any point. So don't go anywhere.